I graduated my high school highest honors in the top of my class at a private online academy. And though I learned a lot in classes like Greek and calculus, I also gained some valuable lessons and principles along the way during the rigorous journey of being a highest honors student. So I'm here to pass them along to you in order to help you go from being stuck like Chuck in a pickup truck to experiencing the breakthrough you've always wanted in your life. My journey to actually becoming a highest honors student actually started in 6th grade when I joined the academy that I was at for the last 7 years of school, from 6th all the way through 12th grade. And once I joined their diploma program in the 7th grade, I noticed that on one of the tracks you could eventually become a highest honors student. Now, it wasn't right away. You'd have to be on that track for several years and then you could apply at the end of your 9th grade year. So I had some work to do and some years to actually complete ahead of me and, of course, show myself worthy, if you will. But I knew, since I was that 7th grade student, that I always wanted to do that, and I always wanted to finish high school as a highest honors student. I don't know why, aside from the fact that it was, challenging educationally, because of course I know that I had always been a good student. I mean, I had skipped 1st grade. I had even moved to this online academy because the school that I was at before, we saw that there was more to be had and more to get out of me when I was about to go into 6th grade, and they wouldn't let me advance forward because of when my birthday was or something like that. So I knew that I wanted to be educationally challenged, but I guess there was always something in me that always wanted more and to push the limits and see how far I could go. And that led me to eventually apply towards the latter half of my 9th grade year, and eventually in 2021 end up becoming a highest honors student. And there were moments definitely throughout the 3 school years that I was a highest honors student that I could have switched tracks. There was no shame in that there was certainly an easier path to complete high school with, but that leads me to my first takeaway, I guess, in what being a highest honors student taught me, and that's committing to my word and sticking to my word, and how I had wanted, even before I became a highest honors student in the 9th grade, at the end of my 9th grade year, even before then, as I said, at the 7th grade level, I told myself, I'm going to do this, and I want to graduate, and I want to walk on that stage as a highest honors student. It wasn't something that was too prestigious in the school. You weren't even having a badge next to your name as you were, doing school, as you were communicating with others on the platform that, hey, this guy's highest honors. There wasn't even a group for highest honors students, as a matter of fact. So there wasn't any exclusive club that came with it. It was just the education track, really, and the fact that you just had to take harder classes. I had to take, in addition to Spanish, I had to take a completely new subject in Greek in the final year, as well as the highest calculus class and a completely new type of science, organic chemistry, that being. So it was not anything special aside from the courses that you take that comes with it, but I just knew that my younger self had really wanted this, and even my older self still really wanted it. But for where I was aligning and where I was thinking I was going to go, or things I was going to do post high school, I saw that it wasn't too imperative for me to be a highest honors student in order to funnel me right out of high school into where I wanted to be. But again, just had to stick with my word, which is definitely a tough thing to do, even outside of education and outside of your schooling, and something that everybody still works on. I'm certainly still working on that, and even keeping your word with yourself is so much more important because it helps you keep your word with others. And I think that's even helped me as I kept the word to myself and kept the word to my younger self, like, man, you really want this, man. 7th grade me, 9th grade me really wanted this. I could change here for my senior year, but no, I really understood how much I had wanted this and for how long I had wanted it. So sticking to my own word and seeing it through ended up pushing me over the finish line. And it was by no means easy, but understanding what I had said for myself and what I had longed for and wished for, and I had to make it happen, and I did. The second thing I learned in my experience as a highest honors student is that delay hinders your freedom, and this is about procrastination. I'm framing it as something else though. You know about how procrastination leads to tasks that are inevitable to do and that, of course, we need to do, pushes them all the way to the future. Well, in reality, it taught me that the freedom that you can experience with an allotment of time that is more than you anticipated by doing a task early is what's really hindered and held back when you procrastinate. And I experienced that a lot in my just time in high school, but in those last 3 years as an official highest honors student, doing that work ahead, especially when there's a lot of it and it tends to pile up if you let it, which I was definitely guilty of many times. It's the freedom of time that you really appreciate, whether it's late in the week with late Fridays being all done with the week's stuff and things that are due fresh on Monday, all done with those things, really just gives you a real sense of freedom on Friday evening and all of Saturday and all of Sunday, which as you get deeper into school, that tends to become a day where you end up doing things. So just not thinking about how only procrastination hinders you to do more later, but it takes away the freedom in the less that is to do later. It robs you of just that free time that is so cherished now as we get deeper and deeper into school, that we have less and less of as we have more and more things to do. It really makes you appreciate the doing the stuff early and just recognizing that it's inevitable, and whatever distractions you're succumbing to, it's not really worth it compared to all the freedom that you have, because the things that you do when there's nothing to do for a stretch of days are way different than the things you do that are putting off things that immediately need to get done but that you're just procrastinating on. Like the things you do to distract yourself on the Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays are way different than the things you do on the Saturdays and Sundays and even Friday evenings that you have nothing in the clear yet. You know, the schedule is clear for you to do whatever you want, and you end up doing more rewarding things late in the weeks when you have those clear schedules at the end of the weeks, as opposed to the things you do when you're distracting yourselves. Those are not really rewarding, because then you kind of have a feeling of, that was nice, but I really couldn't afford to do that. So delay, just really hindering your freedom late in weeks, but just hindering your freedom when you put off the inevitable, and just the appreciation I found in the clear schedules and the free ends of weeks was something I learned as a highest honors student. The third thing I learned as a highest honors student, the third thing I learned from graduating high school as a highest honors student and at the top of my class was that collaboration breeds clarity. It really does. And I'm talking about just those extra steps to reach out to others in your class who, it doesn't even matter what level they are compared to you. They could be worse than you, but they could still give you a better perspective. And if they are, or at a level that you are or higher, then that's even better, because they have a myriad of things to share with you. But just taking those times to reach out to people and scheduling those brief meetings, whether they go for 30 minutes or upwards of 2 hours, just really helps to clarify things and accelerate you. So I could even say that collaboration increases acceleration, and it really does. Taking those times to go into Google Meet sessions with people in the same classes and outside of times where you're put in breakout rooms in class, just taking those extra steps on the Fridays and even Saturdays to say, hey, you want to study for this midterm, or hey, you want to study for this test. And I've come away from a lot of those sessions with just an open perspective about certain angles of subjects that I did not even know I had blind spots in, but I look at my friends' work and I'm like, oh, really doing this the wrong way. And it helps in the long run, because now, instead of waiting until maybe the end of the semester exams to reach out, once you reach out for a normal quiz or a normal exam, you're able to have those blind spots clarified and removed just because you decided to take action and ask to collaborate. And you may not always get a yes, of course, people have their own schedules and their own busyness, but even just taking that step and humbling yourself and saying, I don't know as much about this subject as I would like, and not really at the capacity to learn it by myself to get where I want to be, let me reach out, because it can take a bit of an ego hit or a pride hit, because we all have some sort of ego and some sort of pride within ourselves. And that may hurt to say, yeah, I'm not as good at this as I thought. Or even for me to say, oh, I'm a highest honor student, but here I am still asking for help. That actually just is acceleratory and just speeds you ahead to where you want to be. And is something I learned to do quite a bit, especially for huge tests. But I've also found value in asking for the smaller tests and the smaller quizzes for those times to review with people, or just to look over study guides with others. So not only does collaboration breed clarity, it definitely breeds acceleration as well. And that's a big thing I learned as a highest honors student. That's my experience of learning principles and values to carry with me even beyond my high school days here as I'm in them right now. So comment below which of them stood out to you the most, or which of them you've implemented in your own life as well. Be sure to like the video and share it with someone who might learn a thing or two from some of these tips, and subscribe to the channel as well. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at my name, and I'll see you in the next video.